for those of you that are here joining us today. We have a treat today. And before we go with our invocation, I want to introduce you who's going to do our invocation. That will be Reverend Casey Taylor. Reverend Casey Taylor resides in Oakland, California, and we met few weeks ago, or a month ago now. Yes, and she is such an amazing being. I just love her energy. I love what she stands for. I love her authenticity. She was raised Catholic. She was raised Christian and Jews. So imagine she has a versatile upbringing, and because of it, I think that made a shift. That made an influence in her life, and for the person that she is today. She's doing amazing things in the world. And I'm just coming from what I have observed. I'm not even reading her bio, because her bio, you can find her on her website, which she will be able to give us to us later on. But I really want you to really feel her from being with her, even though that is just streaming. It's the energy is no difference. A little bit higher when you're around her, but it's just the beauty and the authenticity and the love and what she stands for comes through no matter where she's at and how she presents herself. So with no further ado, I would like to bring Reverend Casey here.
Hey, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to play church with you and your incredible community today. Just fun fact, I'm actually I live in Oklahoma City. I totally get how Oakland can come out of that. I lived in California when we first met on the Global Themes team. I was living in California at the time, and now I live in Oklahoma City. So I just go where Spirit calls, and I'm grateful that Spirit called me here, and would love to pray us into this experience, to do an evocation if that's what it calls for now. So I
Yes.
invite us to take a moment to get comfortable in the places and spaces that we are in the world, bringing our conscious attention and awareness to our own understanding of spirit, knowing that our own spiritual journey, our quest to define spirit for ourselves, to live consciously and lead from that experience, has brought us here today. And I'm grateful for each person who shows up being willing to claim and affirm their own understanding of God, for all of the qualities that may have been chosen for the day, or for those of you who may be hearing this for the first time who are inspired to choose a quality, that I trust and know that not only is that quality supported by the presence of the divine, by our own understanding of the presence of the divine, but this experience right here, that whatever it is that needs to be said is being said, whatever needs to be heard is being heard, and the world is forever shifted. For those of us who've shown up to play church together, to express our understanding of what spirit means for us, and to go out in the world and live out loud consciously from that understanding, we are creating a shift right here and now. And I'm grateful to know it and declare it. And I invite us all to affirm this truth with whatever word or phrase is most comfortable with closing in prayer. I choose to close by saying, and so it is, Ashe.
And so it is, Ashe. Beautiful. Thank you so much for such a beautiful evocation. As you can see, guys, I am not lying to you. Just feel that energy. Just feel the vibration. Okay. And that's who she is all the time. I haven't seen something different than that. But I am just, I cannot express so much how thrilled I am to have you here, Reverend Casey. I really am. It's an honor to have you here, especially for the theme that we're covering today, right? This whole month, we have been covering the theme of pieces into peace. And today's topic that we have is peace begins in the mind. So let's imagine a better place, a better world for each one of us and for all of us and for our future generations. So it's definitely a Sunday to celebrate peace, a Sunday where we are gathering here and inviting you to open your minds regardless of the appearance of the world, regardless of what's going on in the world, because what we know is that the imagination is where it's like the garden, right? The imagination is the garden where we plant the seeds and where we can water the seeds. And when we water the seeds of peace, we definitely can see that peace grow in our own personal life, in the surrounding around us, and in the world. And we cannot be paying attention to what seems to be happening, because if we do pay attention to that, then more of that will grow. Because as we know in our teachings, well, our thoughts is the seeds. The thoughts are the seeds, and every time we pay attention to those thoughts, we're watering those thoughts, and so that's what's gonna grow. So let's be mindful of the power that you and me have, that we have as a collective, and that we can make a difference by using our imagination in a greater way. And so we can really live and create a world that we desire so much to live in. And so what we always like to say here in One Love Center, we want to welcome you. Okay, so here at One Love Center, we provide a stable, welcoming community for all who choose to learn, practice, grow, and play in the unfolding of the understanding of spiritual principles and spiritual living. Okay, so in One Love Center, our vision, what we vision is that we envision a world as a sacred environment where spiritual living flourishes through the continual growth and development of learning and application of spiritual principles. One Love Center, see, here at One Love Center, we practice compassion in service, love in action, and joyous, prosperous giving in community. And like we always like to say, we simply like to say that One Love Center is a place where love grows. Okay, this is a place where you know that you can grow with One Love Center. And as you grow, we all grow. And so we know that when we sow seeds of love, that's what we're going to have more of and experience more of and spread more of that at the same time. So now um, I would like to welcome Reverend Casey to help us with the prayers, because what we know in our teachings is that prayer is the backbones of what we believe. We believe in prayer. So please help me with this, Reverend.
One Love Center has prayer professionals ready, willing, and able to remind you that Spirit is full of power, charged, and already within you for your immediate use.
Oops. Let's see.
Requests for prayer support can be sent to email revrod17 at gmail.com or call 844 295 5155. All prayer requests are kept in the strictest confidence. I'm just going to say real quick that I had an opportunity to connect with Rev Rod at that same conference where I saw you in Unity Village, and completely speak to, support, getting prayer by with Rev Rod. I fully wholeheartedly recommend it.
Yeah, he is amazing. I am blessed to have him as my minister. And I don't take him for granted. So with that being said, guys, I want to tell you that here at One Love Center, we keep praying for you for 7 days. Okay. Once you send your prayers requests, we keep praying for you for 7 days. And it's strictly confidential. If one of us take that prayer, we don't share it with anybody. So know that we will continue to pray for that for 7 days. If you want us to continue to pray for that for longer than 7 days, please make sure that you reach out and let us know as well. And if you find yourself that you don't need prayer because everything is working out so well in your life, please reach out and ask us to pray for you so that continues to happen in your life. That's what Reverend Rodney said. And I like that idea too, because why not? Why not, right? So but we also at this point, we I like to say that we are very grateful for all of you that continuously send your donations to One Love Center, because that's how we stay that's how we continue to do this service, this ministry that we do with so much love. We have a conviction that what we're doing, it makes a difference in people's life, in the world, and the energy that I know personally, I know the vibration that we're doing right now, just at this moment, it's just rising the vibration of Mother Earth as well, and raising the vibration of everyone, whether they know it or not. That's what I know. And so, what I know is that if this is your first time that you're watching us on streaming, and this is your first time with One Love Center, please know that you can send your donations to One Love Center by going to onelovecenter.org and clicking on the donate button. It's going to take you to the PayPal, or you can also send it by Cash Me app at $ One Love CSL. And that's how you can continue to support us. And those that have been supporting us, we're really grateful for your continued support. So know that we are using your funds very well, and we also give to the greater community from those funds that you send us as well. So as we continue to talk into this conversation that we were speaking, right? The theme of the month, pieces into peace, and today's title, peace begins in the mind. So let us imagine a better world. When you hear this title, Reverend Casey, what does it comes to you?
I am, honestly, I've often said, not even often, I pretty much say this every time I speak, that the global themes are perfectly corresponds with my life.
Mm,
So specifically with this month, I really started this month into pieces and dove into my spiritual practices and experiencing a level of peace that I didn't have before my life started to fall into pieces. And just this week I got clear that I've ever since I heard the concept of being the change that I wish to see in the world, I was really focused on that. And at first it was about the change I wish to see, and then it was this realization that it takes so much work for me to be the person that I want to see in the world that I don't even have time to think about what other people are doing. But just this week I had this just moment of realization. And one of the things that we teach here is that everything is perfect, everything is already perfect, right? And it's challenging to live in the world and experience what feels like not perfection. And I've always been like, my whole thing about being the change I wish to see in the world was really about wanting to create change, as opposed to living in recognition of the perfection of what already is, and recognizing the power of that energy, of living in knowledge, in truth of the fact that perfection already is, that the things that are going in a way that I don't think that they should be going that way, that's on me. That I get to be the one that changes my relationship to those things. I get to be the one that recognizes that even though the world does not unfold in a way that I think it should, it's unfolding in absolute perfection, that I'm not in charge of it, that nothing that I do is about changing the world. It's really about spirit compelling each one of us to do what is ours to do. So who am I ever to tell somebody else that what spirit compels you to do, even if it doesn't align with what I think the world should be, that that's spirit's call. That's their perfect life journey. And spirit has this grand design that I had nothing to do with consciously creating. I am of that energy, but I didn't create that energy. So for me, that I've really shifted to imagining peace not as the world looking a certain way, then in a way that's different than it is now, but imagining peace as consciously living from the understanding that perfection is unfolding at all times and always, no matter how challenging it may be, to remember that and live consciously from that understanding.
Mm, mm. Ernest Holmes, I think, let me see. I have this quote here with Ernest Holmes. He says, um, we want to see, no, let me see. What is it? No, that's not the one. Oh, peace. Ay, ay, ay. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, there it is. There it is. That's the one that I want to share. Peace is not peace is not something you wish for. It's something you make, something you do, something you are, and something you give away.
Yes, that's it. It's not the world out there.
And actually, that is not from Anderson. That's from John Lennon,
John
right?
Lennon.
John Lennon. So imagine, peace is not something you wish for. It's something you make, something you do, something you are, and something you give away. It's what you were saying, that each one of us is responsible for it, but we're not responsible for anyone. But each one of us must take that responsibility, and as each one of us take that responsibility, then of course we are creating a world of peace.
Exactly. That's how you do it.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. My thing is, I always like to say, imagine each one of us remembering that, because I really believe that we have forgotten that we have forgotten to be who we're here to be, and that's the reason why we have created the illusion or the world that we live in.
Well, in regards to that whole concept of forgetting, like the quest or the mission, the divine idea, each one of our divine appointments of what ours to do is a hero's journey, right? And the concept of the hero's journey is literally everywhere. There is no missing the fact that it starts with a call to action, as Joseph Campbell outlined and identified, that there's this um mythic structure of starting with the call to action and the call to adventure, and that experience of the adventure is really hard. Like the reality of it, I think it's less, personally, I think it's less about forgetting and more about the fact that hero's journeys are really hard. Like you watched anybody's story, and those trials and those tribulations, that experience of faith that's necessary to achieve and experience the life of our dreams. There's a reason that in the stories that we're seeing, there are people jumping, off of cliffs and trusting that something is going to catch them as they fall. And, um, just really harrowing, difficult, physical, emotionally, spiritually challenging journeys. And I think that there are too few support structures in place for the fact that each one of us is on our hero's journey. And that's the thing that I think that we've just misunderstood, that we've interpreted this idea of a hero's journey as something else somebody else does, that a Marvel superhero does, or a famous spiritual leader who lived 5,000 years ago. And we don't recognize that each one of us individually is on our healing journey, that we are being called to action. And all of the ways that our lives are uncomfortable is either one of two things: that we're ignoring that call to action, or that we're on that hero's journey and we're in the trials and tribulations part that is requiring faith or support from our allies and friends. Like, the hero's journey is tough no matter how you play it. There are definitely moments of it of peace and joy and blessings. And another way to think of it is like, the seasons, right? Like summer is the days are longer, and uh, the sun is out longer, and you know the weather is warmer versus, you know, as we're shifting into fall. The equinox was yesterday, in the autumn equinox, that, you know, now is this energetic shift of slowing down, but it's also harvesting everything that came in the spring. So everything is a season, and when we learn to live in flow, and that's also something I think we've forgotten, is to live in the seasons. We're so used to being able to get any kind of produce we want at any time of year, that when we don't operate with the way that the earth is moving and flowing, we're trying to operate from this capitalistic perspective of, you know, I got to be at work at this time, such and such, every day, despite what's happening with the sun and the moon. You know, like we're just not living in flow. But saying all that to say that there, those support structures, that I think spirituality is designed to support us in our own hero's journey, and the majority of our spiritual organizations are operating from the wisdom that somebody else said 5,000 years ago, instead of actually creating that support structure in place for the fact that we are all on our hero's journeys, and that we need each other as we move through it.
Right. So, you said a lot there, and it sounds all good and dandy, right? And I understand exactly what you're saying. I get everything that you're saying. But let's say that someone that is listening to us now, listening to us later, and is trying to grasp that idea that you just shared. What will you share with them, or some practical practices that they can practice on a daily basis, so they can grasp that idea that you just shared?
That is the best question ever. Are what tools can people use? Because the hero's journey is hard. What are the tools that are most effective to support each one of us in our healing journey? And what I have learned through my own experience of my own healing journey is that those tools change depending on my life and depending on my needs. And so I've really learned to one, being present. That's the biggest one ever. That, you know, it doesn't mean never think about what happened in the past. It doesn't mean never look forward or plan for what comes next. But being present, having lots of moments in my day where I'm being present with what is right now. I would say that the two principles that I lean into most is being present and trusting spirit in all regards. The other thing, what I teach through Spirit Uncensored is Spirit Uncensored. Our tagline, our mission is that we highlight the power of choice, faith, and gratitude. Living each day as the best day ever. We have the hashtag Best Day Ever movement. So I'm saying all this to say that there are so many tools, and in regards to which ones are right depends on who you are, and recognizing that we all have our own medium, like our own preferred medium. I like to write, so journaling is a great spiritual tool and practice for me. People who like to speak really like prayer, and I do. I like praying out loud as well. But some people also use art as spiritual practice, where a painting, for me, I hate doing art. So it never operates as spiritual practice for me. It's some like crafts and things like that. That's not for me. But for the kind of person who isn't an artist, loves the fine arts, that the experience of expressing how you're feeling through that medium is the right thing. So it's a matter of staying present, asking yourself, what tool do I need? And your soul, your intuition already knows what you need, and it changes from one moment, from one situation to the next. But for me, the key is listening to your intuition and trusting it to guide you.
That's beautiful. I like the simplicity. What does being present looks like, Reverend Casey?
What does being present look like? Well, as I said, I love these questions. I love that you invited me to play this. It really is about, like, right now I'm being present. I don't have, I can't, I'm answering this question, so I can't be thinking about what did I have for breakfast yet. I mean, I could be, but it's not the most useful way of my energy. So being present, when it comes to actually participating in activity, it is about paying attention. But I'll be really honest. Like for instance, the ministers gathering, the Centers for Spiritual Living ministers gathering was this week, and it was a virtual event, a kind of all day virtual event, 2 days in a row. And for me, when I'm at a virtual event, I love to have my camera off, picked up with my feet up on the couch, and playing Candy Crush while I'm listening. It is a lot easier for me to take in what's being said in a virtual environment if I am physically comfortable and I'm playing Candy Crush. Now, somebody might say I'm not being present if I'm not on camera and I'm not, fully engaged in listening and nodding and responding to the speaker right now. But if I'm going to be online virtually for 5 hours or something like that, for me, the best way for me to fully take in what's happening is for me to be playing a game that kind of keeps my brain from judging or thinking about other things or getting distracted. Candy Crush is a tool that helps keep me focused. So one might say that I'm not being present. I can't, argue with somebody who says that. I just know that it's a tool that's valuable for me, where sometimes it's giving my undivided attention and sometimes it's dividing my attention a little bit to help me focus and pay attention on what I'm listening to.
Wow, that is wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I will be one saying you're not paying attention because you played the game. I'll be honest. I'll be honest.
I appreciate your
you know,
honesty.
but I love the fact that you express it and explain it the way you explained it, because as I hear you, I'm so present listening to you, taking everything that you're saying, that I got it. I got it. Like, I get it. I get it. And so that was beautiful. That was beautiful. So it really is, for those of you that are listening, it's really for you to, each individual, depending on who you are and depending on the day too, because every day is so different, right? Every day is not the same, no matter how much we think is the same. No matter if you're going to the same job, doing the same thing, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Something is different. Something is different. You can feel it in your emotions, your feelings. Something is different. And so by being present means just being with what is, right? Being with what is at the moment, and being taking in what is. And when we take a time to just take a, for me, sometimes when it's so busy or so much going on, I like to usually take to pause and to just breathe for a few minutes, to just breathe for a few minutes and really feel my emotions, really feel my body. And that helps
It
that helps
does.
a lot.
For sure. I when I worked in Hollywood, I worked at Creative Artist Agency, CAA, which is like, no, like people joke about it as the Death Star, in the way that it's shaped, but it's the, where all of the Hollywood business is being done, which is why I wanted to be there. And it was such a fast-paced, challenging work environment that, and I had just become a minister like literally the same week that I started at this job. And
Wow.
so having these, both the recognition that I had these tools, I felt like ministry perfectly prepared me for success in the entertainment industry, and that breath it was really key when things were getting challenging. When I noticed myself feeling stressed out, I recognized that I could always give myself permission for 5 seconds. I may not have 5 full minutes to breathe, but I do have 5 seconds. And so taking a moment to just close my eyes and settle into my seat and breathe and center my body perfectly prepared me for whatever it was that was going on. And all I needed was just a few seconds. And it changed everything. Like I said, all of the success that I received had a lot to do with my ministerial training, preparing me for that moment.
That's so beautiful. That's a beautiful testimony in regards to being present and taking a pause. Taking that, really being present with the breath, because we never stop breathing. But becoming aware of the breath is what we're speaking about. I have this quote here, which I think that it really It really goes with what we have been speaking. It says world peace is a thing that the average person believes is someone else's responsibility, when actually there's something very practical they can do about it. And this is Ernest Holmes, as in the July 1955 Science of Mind magazine. So imagine, a lot of people believe that, but as we have been speaking, we are telling you that it's each one of us responsibility. And as we come together and take that responsibility, then as a collective we can definitely experience the peace that so many of us desire to have, and that so many think that is somebody else's responsibility. And I think that when we give someone else's responsibility for peace, what does that bring, Reverend Casey?
I mean, I think when we think about our political landscape today, there's
Mm,
a lot of finger pointing and blame happening in every direction. You know, I'm not putting it on any one group of people in particular. What I'm seeing is just fingers pointing everywhere instead of back at the person who is speaking. I don't hear people saying, these are the things that I am doing to take responsibility for transforming my community. I do my best. Like, that's that whole experience of being the change I wish to see in the world. Is not only do I show up in that way, but I do my best to communicate that that's what I'm doing. And I guess that's what I should be doing right now. Is in addition to all of the things that I do to support spiritual communities, both in my community of Oklahoma City and our global organization, like serving on the global themes team, I work at the youth homeless shelter in my community, and I've been thinking really actively around, in ways what I want to do there next. But I've been in different roles. I've served as our community's the Oklahoma City president of the Coalition to End Poverty, and I have set up that next team that's currently in place, and they are doing great work. So I haven't ever run for office. I'm grateful right now. I live in a community. Oklahoma City is a place where, because traffic is quite minimal in comparison to, I grew up in Chicago, lived in Los Angeles for 10 years before that. Like, I mostly lived, most of my life has been in major cities. So to be in a place where I have time to volunteer, right? Actually, this Friday, I am hosting a Singo. It's like bingo with singing, drag Singo, with Spirit Uncensored, that is raising money for both Spirit Uncensored and Sisu, the youth shelter where I work and serve. So to just be able to do things like that, to host a fundraiser in my community at a local business that a lot of people in the community don't really know about. That's an all ages event that highlights marginalized voices. Like, what I could do is criticize other people for what they aren't doing, or I can gather a group of people who I call my God squad around me to really create positive change and, like, show up as examples of the kind of people that we want to see in the world, and do all that I can to amplify the voices of the people around me and amplify marginalized voices, while at the same time speaking up and advocating for myself in spaces. And I speak a lot about my identity. And you mentioned earlier that I was raised in a household where we celebrated Jewish and Christian holidays. My father, white Jewish, like, I did a DNA test and I'm literally 50% Ashkenazi Jew. And my mother is Black and from Louisiana. And so, like, my experience of just being being a queer, mixed race, gender non-conforming person in America, just comes with a whole lot of healing and self-love, and really learning about who I am and leading with that. And I'm grateful for the fact that the world has really shifted in my lifetime. I'm 43 years old, that in my lifetime, the world has shifted so much to make me more comfortable in my own skin in my country. So I do my best to celebrate those things, as opposed to criticizing, one I was going to say is, as opposed to criticizing others. I just thought about that other Ernest Holmes quote of, show me someone who is for something and against nothing, and I will show you the next exalted being. And when I heard that in like 2009, I loved that concept of showing up as being for something and against nothing. And I'm grateful that this conversation reminded me of that, because it's my favorite way to be.
And I think that's a great way to be peace. That's a great way to be peace in the world, right? Because when we can be for something rather against something, we can do more when we are for something. I think the energy is higher than the other. The other is too negative, and so what we want to raise, I think that all of us want to raise, is the positive energy, and the higher the positive energy is, the better it is for all of us. That's
Yep.
just what it is too.
Yes, that right there.
Yeah. So it has been such a beautiful, and I could be talking to you all day. That's how I feel. Because I'm always learning something from you, and from your perspective. It really, it not only it challenged my old beliefs, but also it helps me see from different lens. It helps me to fix my lens, and to see, like what you were saying about playing the game while you were listening to. That was a good one. That was definitely, I must say, you served me today with that one.
I appreciate it. And you can come play church with me anytime. The Badass Spiritual Playground. We have a Spirit Uncensored hosts the Badass Spiritual Playground on Tuesday evenings at 6 Eastern, and Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So
Eastern time.
drop in our Badass Spiritual Playground anytime.
Yes. So you guys, those of you that are listening, please pay attention. Maybe you can put it in the chat. I don't know.
First,
But we will add it on the chat as well later on, so everyone can see in the chat that we have that, in case that you want to join in. And Reverend Casey also will. What's your website, Reverend Casey?
it's Rev Casey Taylor at revcaseytaylor.com. That's
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So just make sure that you go to her website, because that website, I was looking into it, and it has all the information that she's been talking about, all the services, and that she's into and working on. So it's really inspiring to follow the work that you're doing. You're doing a beautiful work, and I think that you are an example of peace, because by the work that you're doing, you're promoting peace, because you're allowing us to see the world from different lenses, rather than the lenses that we have been brainwashed to see the world with.
Mhm.
So I think that that's where change begins, right? By
For sure.
shifting our old belief systems, and in reinventing the something that works for all and that serves all. So what I want to do is, I found this prayer that has been this prayer has a lot of times. For a long time, I thought that it was Francis of Assisi that said this prayer, but then I learned that it wasn't even his, but he made it famous. So that's the prayer of peace, and I would like to read it to you guys, and you can. I will also add it to the chat, so you can have it as well. But I'm gonna put it here. Let me see, where is it? Where is it? Okay, there it is. Okay. So, do you want to read the first one, Reverend?
Sure thing. Often attributed to Saint Francis Assisi Divine Spirit, I am an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith.
Mm. Where there is where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. You go ahead.
O Divine One, know that I am here on the planet, not to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love.
And it is in living a life of peace and love now that we experience eternal life now and forevermore. Amen.
And so it is.
And so it is. That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much. So now, guys, I would like to invite you in this as we just finished this prayer to for the affirmations, and just take a deep breath. Okay, so take a deep breath. And the first one, it says, "It is so that I embrace the vision of a harmonious world where unity and peace thrive amongst all people." Take a deep breath. And the next one, Reverend Casey, could you please read it?
It is so that I am a catalyst for compassion, fostering connections and understanding that unite us as one.
Mm. Take a deep breath. And the last one, "It is so that I rejoice in the unique divinity of others while celebrating the sacred spirit within me." Mm. And so it is,
And so
and
it is.
now it is.
And now it is.
And in that space of unity, in that space of knowing that there's only one power, one mind, and that when we recognize that there's only one power, one mind, we understand, we come to an understanding that I am part of this oneness. You are part of this oneness. All of us, as a collective humans, all beings in this planet Earth and in the universe, we are all one energy. And as we recognize this power that is in each one of us, we recognize and remember that the qualities of this divine power, this divine love, God, whatever you want to call it, lives in you, is ingrained in you, is a part of you. All the qualities of health, peace, love, prosperity, grace, flow, all the good that your heart desire is already within your reach. All is there for you to recognize. It is there for us to recognize the power that lives in us, that each one of us has, and that we are here to manifest in our experience, in this human experience. I am so grateful and so filled of gratitude for this time together that we get to share, to celebrate, and to remind each other of the powerful beings that we are, that each one of us, and for each one of us to take the responsibility to be the peace that we desire to see in the world. And as we be the peace, we can manifest that peace. As we speak the peace, as we focus on the peace, as we are it, then we can actually spread that great energy of love, of peace, and we can be that peace. And all of us can live in a world that works for each one of us. I am so grateful to know this true about each one of us. And as I recognize this and as I embrace this truth of each one of us, I let it be. And so it is, and now it is. Ashe. Amen.
Ashe.